Good evening. Welcome to the January 13, 2020 Valley View School Board meeting. I would ask that you quiet your cell phones and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Mr. Maduris, if he can stop coughing. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Let me do the board affirmation statement. I would ask Vice President Zach to give us the board affirmation statement this evening.
Our mission is to empower all learners to be college, career, and life ready, and to develop, grow, and achieve as productive citizens.
Thank you. Dr. Mitchum, the agenda.
Yes, President Quigley, I'd like to ask that the board approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Motion to accept the agenda as presented. Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. Treasurer's report, Mr. Grisafi.
Treasurer's report for December 2019 includes your usual variety of financial reports, balance sheet, summary of revenue expenditures. We've got interim obligation payments as well as debt service obligations totaling $5,030,813.15 for your action.
Motion? Motion and seconded. Since we're spending money, roll call vote would be in order.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Gilbo?
Yes.
Member Perro?
Yes.
Member Baduris? Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes.
Schedule of bills for January 2020, we've got 7 funds representing total bills payable of $2,508,987.07 for your action.
Motion? So moved. Second. Motion and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Member Gilbo?
Yes.
Member Perro?
Yes.
Member Baduris? Member Campbell?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes.
The balance of the treasurer's reports, 5.3 is the summary of investments, 5.4 is the property taxes received, 5.5 state funding update, 5.6 all schools trust account activity. For your information only.
Any questions on that? Next item, Gary?
That's it. We're
that's all of it?
Yep, moving on to consent.
And it's good to see that the state funding update that the state of Illinois only owes us $3 million and none of it's over 90 days. Very refreshing from the last 8 years. Moving down the agenda, consent agenda items.
Yes, President Quigley, I'd like to ask that the board approve consent agenda items 6.1 through 6.13, 6.1 board meeting minutes 12/9/19, 6.2 executive session meeting minutes 12/9/19, 6.3 gifts to Eileen King Elementary School, A. Vito Martinez Middle School, Bolingbrook High School, and Romeoville High School. 6.4 student activity contract approval request, Jamie McGee Elementary with Scholastic Book Fair. 6.5 student activity contract approval request, Early Childhood with Interstate Studios. 6.6 through 6.11 special board meeting minutes for 11.5, 11.18, 12.1, 12.2, 12.3, and 12.20. 6.12 special executive session meeting minutes for 11.5, 18, 12.1, 12.2, 12.3, and 12.20. And finally, 6.13 Romeoville High School trips.
So moved. Second.
Motion and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. Roll call vote, please.
Member Perro?
Yes.
Member Baduris? Yes. Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Gilbo?
Abstain.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes. Next up, liaison reports. Any and all from, student and staff recognition. I jumped ahead. Bolingbrook High School.
That would be me. This evening, I have the great pleasure of introducing Lillian Bizaki from Bolingbrook High School. We are recognizing her this evening for achieving the designation as a National Board Certified Teacher. She joins an elite group of about 6,700 teachers in the entire state of Illinois who have achieved this rigorous certification process, which includes an in-depth examination as well as planning, instructional delivery, and a great deal of reflection of professional practice. So I'd like to introduce Dr. Jason Pascavage, who will be talking a little bit about Lillian and her fantastic achievements, both here at BHS as well as her certification.
Thank you,
Dr.
thank you.
Pascavage.
Yep. Colleagues, Dr. Mitchum, your first board meeting of a new year. Congratulations to our board and President Quigley. Today, I have an honor of presenting Miss Bizaki. And I asked Mr. Beauvais, I said, hey, tell me something that just separates her from the rest of the teachers. He said, she's a wonderful teacher over the years that has never hesitated to take on more in order to be a team player. Until this year, she had 4 preps and never said a word. She has mentored teachers, put on staff PDs, volunteered for committees, and done everything you could ask of for a teacher. Then I pulled a student out to ask a student what he thought. And he said her greatest attribute is the fact that you always have a smile on your face, and he is super excited to come to your room all the time. And I think that's the greatest compliment that a teacher can get. So congratulations on your National Board Certification. There you go. And Ms. Sikora. And then we'll get a picture right here.
So while they're doing the pictures, how many of these do we have in our district now? I know the number's pretty high.
We have about just around 100 certified educators in our district that have received some sort of national recognition, including national board certification.
Okay.
So that's quite a large number when you consider only 6,700 throughout the state of Illinois, and
Right.
about 100 of them are ours. So
Right.
says a lot for our staff.
Thank you. Liaison reports. From my left. From my right. How about the high school student liaison report? No report tonight? Okay. Audience participation. Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to address the board this evening? Please limit your comments to 3 minutes and give us your name if you would, please.
Hello, board members. This is, I hate to say, the first school board meeting that I've attended. Our children, my name is Ann Hammond. My husband and I, Charles, have been living in the Bolingbrook community for 28 years. We've raised 4 children. All of my children were educated in the Valley View School District. When we first came, it was 2 schools. We didn't have a school in Bolingbrook. We had only, our end of town went to Romeoville, came to Romeoville. So my oldest son came to Romeoville for school. And then when we adopted our 3 younger children, then by that time, the other school was open. So we've been with you guys for a long, long time. And I've been thankful to be able to be in this community for as long as we have. Back in 2005, I'll make this short, my husband's time and me, 2005, I was blessed to be able to be the head of the Alpha Christian Training Center, which is a Christian daycare that we opened with the blessing of our former pastor, Pastor William Rohr. Back in 2005, I became the director. I had experience as an assistant director with the Head Start program in Joliet. I have a BA degree and a master's degree. Back in 2017, our new pastor decided to close the daycare down. So at that time, then I was at that point kind of devastated, and all of our families were. We actually educated over 200 children in our program in the time I was there, and I'm blessed because most of them came to the Bolingbrook School District, and many of them are doing extremely well. And so truly, truly, we were blessed. Alpha was blessed. We all were blessed. So in 2017, when the new director decided to close the program, I was kind of devastated for a while. It took me about 3 months to pull it together and say, wait a minute, I need to do something here. So in 2017, June of 2017, I contacted the school district because one of your best people that actually did some, I'm nervous now. One of the people that did subbing was actually a former teacher in our program. She had come, she would work 1 year with us, work 1 year with you, work 1 year with us, because we couldn't pay that much. She suggested I apply for a position as just a sub. I didn't want anything permanent. I applied for a position as a sub and was told there was nothing available and that someone would call me. Now I come with a BA degree and a master's, and I was not hired as a sub for the district. That was a problem. But back at that time, I was kind of going through a thing, kind of upset, and I didn't address anything. Recently, I kind of pulled it together and said, I need to talk about this. And I've done that. I've talked to administration. And at this point, I'm just trying to wait to see what are you guys going to do and the administration do about the fact that a teacher, a person with my experience, was not allowed to be a sub when you hire subs with a BA degree right out of college. That's my concern, and I leave it with all of you to make a decision about what needs to happen in my situation. I thank you. We've been blessed to have you as the educators for our children for all these years, and now I leave it in your hands to decide what needs to happen in this situation. Thank you so much, and God bless all of you.
Thank you. Moving down the agenda. Action reports. Dr. Mitchum, student due process.
Yes, President Quigley, I ask that the board approve cases A through E as amended.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Member Badouris? Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Gilbo?
No.
Member Perro?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
Vice President Zach? Yes. President Quigley?
Yes.
Okay, that brings us to action reports. I have the first one. Action report 11.1 is the high school health resource. We are seeking your approval for the adoption of a new high school health resource, Comprehensive Health, for 2019. This would be implemented during the 2021 school year. A summary of the background and rationale is presented in the action report, and we had our educator representatives present this proposal previously to the board. We are seeking your approval this evening and are happy to answer any questions you may have.
So move.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Member Perro?
Yes.
Member Gilbo?
Yes.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Badouris? Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yep.
Thank you. Action report 11.2, we are seeking approval on the ESSA Every Student Succeeds Act school work plans. This is essentially a compliance measure to seek board approval to ensure that the board is aware of the improvement efforts. The Illinois State Board of Education issues designations to schools based on multiple indicators of performance to indicate how well schools are serving all children. In the fall of 2018, 2 of our elementary buildings received a designation of underperforming for one specific subgroup of children, and that specific subgroup was children with disabilities. Since that time, both of the schools have achieved commendable status, Oakview and Woodview Elementary, and this fall, and these schools will continue to receive the monetary support to financial resources to ensure that we remain at the commendable level and continue to grow from there. And then each of these schools engaged in work to connect their school improvement efforts to ensure that these students are being supported fully and that they're monitoring their cycles of improvement. So the details are included in the report, as well as the detailed reports that the schools completed with their teams. And we're seeking your approval tonight to be in compliance with the Illinois State Board of Education requirements and to receive the ESSA funding.
So move. Second.
I do have a question. Could I ask who fills out the part on the IQF, who circled which, or who highlighted which one they fell into, which school, what section they fell into?
So that actually is a team effort, and what that is And what Member Sikora is referring to is the Illinois Quality Framework, and it's essentially a rubric which prompts school teams to reflect on their practices. So there was involvement from the building leaders and members of their BIT team, their building impact teams, as well as their SMART coach or any other directors or district staff that would be supporting that building. So in this case, since it was students with disabilities, there is also input from Student Services Department.
Any other questions or discussion? If not, we have a motion and a second. A roll call vote would be in order.
Member Gilbo,
Abstain.
Member Perro,
Yes.
Member Burduris, Member Campbell,
Yes.
Secretary Sikora,
Yes.
Vice President Zach,
Yes.
President Quigley.
Yes. Board policies.
Okay, that is Board Policy 7190 and 7270. These two policies were presented previously for first read, and they are presenting tonight for your approval. This is administering medications to students and 7190 student behavior. We are presenting these to ensure that we are in alignment with Public Act 101-0370, which expands Ashley's Law related to the use and administration of medical cannabis for students in schools.
So moved.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. Roll call vote would be in order.
Member Campbell,
Yes.
Member Burduris, Member Perro,
Yes.
Member Gilbo,
Yes.
Secretary Sikora,
Yes.
Vice President Zach,
Yes.
President Quigley.
Yes, and now what you all came for, the copier machine contract. Mr. Grisafi.
With that lead-in, I don't really know where to go with this. Thank you for the intro. We are asking for a 2-year maintenance agreement extension on the 36 copiers that are building-based throughout the district. Konica Minolta has provided us excellent service, maintained machine uptime, and response time of 4 hours or less. They've gone so far as to replace 2 machines entirely due to excessive downtime for unsuccessful repairs. And so again, we've been very, very pleased with their service. They were the winner of an RFP process back in 2014. We had 5 responses, finding Konica Minolta with the most favorable terms for the district. So again, recommending that we extend the maintenance contract for 2 additional years, beginning in May of 2020, running through May of 2022. The terms of the extension would remain the same. Monthly invoice of $1,635, including almost 518,000 impressions per month for the 36 copiers, with an overage invoiced at .0045, just a little under half a penny per impression on an annual reconciliation. So that is the recommendation.
So moved. Second.
I actually do. Here we go. I think that's why I came. My only comment is, I don't know how the elementary schools and some of the middle schools get away with only one. It's got to be hard. When you get there in the morning, you realize you've got to change a lesson plan or something, and it's impossible. I think we need to look in possibly another one for the elementaries and junior highs that only have one. I know that's spending money, but I feel sorry for those teachers.
Duly noted. Can you maybe price that out or take a look, Gary?
Sure,
See what-
we can do a survey.
I'm sure the guys from Minolta won't care.
Determine a need there and see what. Sure, let us do a survey.
I mean, I was
Bring
going
it
to say,
back.
why don't you do a quick survey of pull the buildings and see what they have to say?
Sure.
It might not need to be the same size, but something at least as a backup or something.
We've got some convenience copiers, as I like to refer to them, that are, like tabletop type of copiers throughout the building that wouldn't be part of this. I don't know, you'd find them in the elementaries, you'd find them more in the high schools, in the registrar's office, things of that nature, but your focus, it seems, is on the elementary, so let us do a survey.
4 junior highs that only have one. It's only the big one for us that has 2.
Yep.
Speaking of the microphone.
That's what he was trying to tell me. I just feel that the junior highs, there's 4 of them that do not have but one, and the elementary schools that only have one need to have more. That's my own opinion, but let's poll them and see what they think.
There you go.
Make
Thank
sure you
you.
poll those teachers too.
So we have a motion? And we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. Roll call vote on the copier machine contract extension.
Member Badouris? Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Gilbo?
Yes.
Member Peril?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yep. Action report, Human Services, Ms. Nash.
Thank you. Action Report 13.1 is our consolidated action report for certified and classified personnel. This evening, we're seeking your approval on 59 items for certified personnel, 37 items for classified personnel, 6 items for classified administrative personnel, and 3 items for certified administrative personnel.
Motion?
So move. Second.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. Roll call vote would be in order.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Gilbo?
Abstain.
Member Peril?
Yes.
Member Badouris? Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes. Job descriptions.
Action Report 13.2 is job descriptions. Attached are 4 job descriptions that we are seeking approval on for this evening. They were brought for information at the December 9th board meeting. 3 of them are existing job descriptions with revisions. 1 is a new position, that's the task force guest teacher.
So
Motion?
moved. Second.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion? Roll-
I have a question.
Okay.
Let me find it here. On the special education description, down towards the bottom, it's the second to last bullet point on essential functions. It says participates in events outside of the regularly scheduled workday. Can somebody explain to me what that is?
I'm trying to think of an example of events outside the actual workday, other than perhaps parent-teacher conferences, which we would be expecting of any certified employee, curriculum nights, those types of things.
So everything that's contractual
Essentially, yes.
and nothing that's not contractual?
Correct.
Do you think we could add that to that? Participate in contractual events outside of the regularly scheduled workday? Add that word contractual? Because I could see where it's very vague, to where that could lead to many other things that maybe might cause some conflicts, because it doesn't really say exactly what those things are.
So I would ask our attorney, do we want to pull this one off until next board meeting so that I can make those, first of all, clarify exactly what the, because I don't think this is different from the last job description, so I'd like to make sure I'm not pulling anything off that is
Yeah, I didn't
an
see it
essential
in,
function.
I didn't see it in any
The
of
other
the
one?
other ones that I've looked at. That's
Okay.
the first time I've seen that.
And then we can bring it up for the next meeting.
So we need a motion to amend the motion.
Yes. Or you could just have
You want
somebody
make-
withdraw their motion.
How do I do it, Gary?
Just make a motion to amend the motion.
I want to make a motion to amend the motion.
Yes, you want to make a motion to amend 3.2 and remove the special ed portion.
That's what I want to do. Thank you.
Okay, well, you need to do it.
Make a motion to amend. So moved. Thank you.
Second.
Motion and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Since we have a motion on the original motion, if there's not any further discussion, a roll call vote would be in order.
Member Gilbo?
Yes.
Member Peril? Yes. Member Badouris? Member Campbell?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes. Ms. Nash.
Action Report 13.3 is resolution number 2009, authorizing the dismissal of an educational support personnel employee for reasons other than reduction in force.
So move.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. Roll call vote, please.
Member Perro?
Yes.
Member Badouris? Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Gilbo?
Abstain.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
Vice President Zach?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes. Let's see. Dr. Mitchum, information reports.
I will jump in here again with
Mr. Grazaffi.
information regarding the request to purchase an additional production color copier with a 5-year maintenance agreement. Back in 2017, the curriculum department requested an in-house estimate for producing illustrative math workbooks for the 7th and 8th grade classes. We estimated total savings to the district at that time over purchasing the materials from a publisher to be $95,000 over 5 years for in-house printing of these workbooks. In March 2018, we entered into a 5-year agreement to purchase a large Ricoh production color copier from Impact Networking, including the cost of the equipment, supplies, and maintenance. After 1 year of workbook printing, we were in line with the expected savings. Since that original commitment, we've added Honors 6th grade, Honors 8th grade, Standard 6th grade, Algebra 1 pilot started this year, and looking potentially to start geometry with the next information report this evening. These additions have doubled our original printing commitment. We are utilizing over 100% of capacity of the large production machine that we currently have. And ideally, 70 to 80% of capacity is ideal. A second unit would balance the total load of color print orders and math workbooks. And we already project to have around 70% utilization on a second machine. Software advancements, increased speeds, and larger booklet page capabilities are needed to keep us with the current and projected workbook printing requests. The upgraded 7000 series Ricoh would allow us to go from a maximum 136-page booklet to a 200-page booklet size. Printing workbooks in-house allows our curriculum department to tailor content in real time. The 612 curriculum team can pick and choose only the content needed. Reprints for enrollment changes are more convenient. Workbook orders can be submitted within a few weeks of usage, and storage of workbooks in our buildings has been greatly reduced. Happy to report that the original estimate on savings, where we projected $95,000 of savings, is looking more like $115,000 savings based on the data that we have available to us. And so that's a proof in the pudding that our savings are indeed accurate. So again, we would like to bring to you a action report at our next meeting for a 5-year term on a new machine, including maintenance costs, on a machine of very similar size to what we bought back in 2017. Any questions?
Anybody any questions on that? Okay, math adoption. Ms. Kinder.
Yes, I'd like to invite Ms. Christy Vey up to the podium. She is our 612 Director of Math and Science, and she is followed by strong team of mathematics educators who are going to share some exciting information about their experience piloting and vetting a new proposal they have for you this evening. So Christy Vey will introduce the proposal as well as the educators who are gracious enough to afford us their time this evening and share with us their expertise and insight. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, President Quigley, members of the board, Dr. Mitchum, senior administration. As Ms. Kinder mentioned, my name is Christy Vey, and I'm the director of 6 through 12 Math and Science. I'm here this evening with high school math, general and special education teachers to present information on our new math curriculum resource for high school. The following members listed on this slide served on our pilot committee beginning at the end of last school year and all through this school year. I have several members of this committee with me tonight who would like to present information to you. They will describe the process and reasons for why we are presenting a new resource. I do want to let you know that this resource is a continuation of our middle school adoption from 2 years ago, as the publisher has now released a high school version. We began this work because through data analysis, we realized we had a lack of coherence in topics between grade levels and within grade levels. As we reviewed the different curriculum resources, our committee was looking for a curriculum that met the 3 shifts of the Common Core state standards, as well as specifically addressing coherence. After countless lesson studies and interaction with the curriculums, our committee decided that illustrative mathematics met the needs of our students the best.
Good evening. As you know, it is a continuation of 6th through 8th. So design principles, task first curriculum, develop conceptual understanding and procedural fluency, opportunities to connect to real world contexts, and each lesson and unit tells a story. A narrative is provided for each teacher for each unit. All right, also for instructional routines, general instruction routines are a small number of high leverage teacher moves that are used throughout each unit to best work towards the goal of our particular lesson, whether that goal is procedural fluency, conceptual understanding, or real world application.
The summative assessments are designed to ensure that when kids get a correct answer, it is for the right reasons and offers teachers diagnostic tools for when students get an incorrect answer. 6th grade currently has 17 assessments, 7th grade has 11, 8th has 15, so at every grade level, we will be utilizing fewer summative assessments, allowing for more opportunities for formative assessments that will support growth. 96% of students passed first semester of our algebra pilot. We also took a volunteer survey. 100% of the teachers agreed or strongly agreed that the IM curriculum supports the mission and vision of students wondering, questioning, and engagement in math tasks, as well as 100% of the teachers agreed or strongly agreed that they enjoy teaching the IM curriculum.
This curriculum was designed with those 3 shifts in mind: focus, rigor, and coherence. Invitation to the mathematics allows students at all levels to participate. Digital resources, including Desmos and GeoGebra, allow students to work with concrete examples and play an experiment with the math. Specific supports are built in for students with learning disabilities, ELLs, and high achievers, which our educators will explain in more detail now.
The support for the co-talk classes, the lessons are designed to maximize access for all students and include additional and suggestive supports to meet the varying needs of individual students. Lesson and activity level supports for students with disabilities are aligned to an area of cognitive functioning that are paired with the suggestive strategy aimed to increase the access of and eliminate barriers. These lesson-specific supports help the students succeed in the specific activity without reducing the mathematical demand of the task.
Continuing with support for EL students, as you can see a screenshot from an actual lesson, integrated English language learner scaffolds are rich in topic and activity-specific guidance. The framework is intended to help teachers address the specialized academic language demands in math when planning and delivering lessons, including the demands of reading, writing, speaking, listening, conversing, and representing in math. There are 4 design principles: support sense making, scaffold tasks and amplify language so students can make their own meaning. Principle 2, optimize output, strengthen the opportunities and supports for helping students to describe clearly their mathematical thinking to others orally, visually, and in writing. Principle 3, cultivate conversation, strengthen the opportunities and supports for constructive mathematical conversations. And the last one, maximize meta-awareness, strengthen the meta-connections and distinctions between mathematical ideas, reasoning, and language.
There's also support for high achievers. You can see an example there. Each lesson has an opportunity for extended learning through the Are You Ready for More? This gives an opportunity for our students to challenge themselves and continue in their learning of the lesson.
The lesson structures are consistent every day for the students. The concepts are developed from concrete to abstract. The students get to work as individuals, and then they share with their partners, and then it ends with a whole class discussion, and there's many opportunities for the learners to apply mathematics to real world.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Anna Tepper-Dillard. I teach at Romeoville High School. This is my 6th year teaching there. And this is the first time that I have utilized a curriculum that engages all students, regardless of their level, in an interesting and accessible yet challenging tasks. And the displayed is 3 screenshots of 3 different quizzes. I mean, it's the same quiz, 3 different responses from 3 different students that prior to this curriculum I would label as student with a grade average of B and C and D. Yet if you look at the responses, they're all very coherent, full sentences using mathematical language supported by algebraic solutions that you cannot differentiate whose student responded to each of those questions. So just to summarize, this unit was on inequalities, and again, prior to IM curriculum, I would have students memorize the rule: when you divide or multiply by a negative sign, you have to switch the sign, without students really truly understanding why. The IM curriculum asks students to reason, to use logic, to test points, to make sense of a problem in a rich real-life content. And we were hoping to have 2 students today to share some of their examples and experiences. And if you look at the screen, this is an activity that we completed in class on last Friday. This unit is on function notation, and the 3 graphs were to be matched with different descriptors. So another challenge is that the matching activity doesn't have an equal number of pairs. So students have to not only reason the part that descriptors are not listed because there would be lengthy paragraphs, but students were engaged in such interesting discussion. It was less activity on Friday. You know, you would think that they would want to go home, but yet it was very energetic in classroom, speaking about number of people that watch each show based on episode number, and there were different elements to it, and students engage using characteristics of actual functions. What is minimum, maximum, horizontal, vertical intercept. So they're practicing mathematical language, and engagement was very exciting, and I'm very much looking forward to what's coming in geometry and algebra 2. Thank you.
Our associated costs, as described earlier in the earlier action report, we are looking for another machine to support our student workbooks, which are an estimated cost of $107,000, which includes 6th through 8, as well as our 9th and 10th rollout. If you think about previous years and purchasing textbooks, we wouldn't come anywhere close. We've come up for $500,000 adoption, $750,000 adoptions, but because this is an open resource, that means it's a free curriculum, the costs are inherent in being able to print the materials for our teachers. And so this is, the associated costs would be the teacher editions and our student workbooks, which are printed in-house. Are there any questions?
I have
Any
some.
questions?
Yes. Do you have some, Steve? Okay. I have, my first one is this IM class replacing Algebra 1?
It's not replacing, it'll be Algebra 1
But
using
now,
illustrative
I should say
mathematics.
Right now it's Algebra 1, right? Right now it's called Algebra 1.
Correct, and the name will continue Algebra 1.
Okay. The next one, I'd actually like a teacher to answer. One of your slides shows that formative testing is a gauge to whereas it's a gauge for students and how they develop or their lack of development. Does IM program allow for time to go back to review those things that they're deficient in? Okay, so the slide says that there's more formative testing and less summative testing. And formative testing is used basically to gauge how the students are doing on your lessons, and that you can go back and maybe make up or help them with what they're deficient in. My question is, does the program allow for that time, or does a teacher need to continue on and not have the time to go back and help?
Yeah, so we created what's called a quick progress check, and that's our formative assessment. We use the same grading that we use for the summative assessment, so the students still see that same scale. And then as teachers, we use that individually to change the lesson as the day. Now, we're not building in extra curriculum to that, but we're able to continue to build on it because the lessons build upon each other.
Okay, so it is used to build on, okay.
Yeah.
Another teacher question. How do you feel about the 7-question summative test that's using a rubric to grade with?
Okay, if you want.
So Just going back to the slide that I was showing responses from the quizzes, out of the 7 questions, 3 are multiple choice, and out of multiple choice, there are questions which are all select all that apply or only one right answer. And just from experience in my own classroom, students actually struggle with the free response multiple choice a little more than free response. The curriculum, continuing from 8th grade, builds on reasoning, builds on justifying the answer using various forms of, for example, graphs, diagrams, equations, sentences, various graphical representations students use, and it is applicable. We have seen the same growth throughout the QPCs, the quizzes that are based on every 3 lessons. We do the formative assessment, and then just grading is continuation throughout the entire unit, and we do see consistency with proficiency among most students.
So you feel that 7 questions is enough to determine whether that child understands the concept?
I do.
Okay, then can we go to that slide where you showed your testing? Can we go to that?
I'm not sure what the quiz.
It was the 3 tests going across? This one?
This is one. This is the last question from from a quiz. QPC.
Yes. My question is, on the first person's, says Madeline is incorrect because X isn't equal to 2, it's greater than 2. Did you correct, is that a correct answer?
Correct, yes. Because
Isn't
Madeline's, I'm sorry.
Equal to also? Greater than or equal to?
So Madeline is solving inequality, and the solution to inequality is a set of values. So if she is stating that her solution is X equals 2, and there is no further response to that, then there's an incomplete answer. So a student had to reason that Madeline either forgot to solve for the inequality or change the sign to inequality after.
So she would get complete credit for that, correct? Is that what you're saying?
You're talking about the first?
The first one, yeah.
Correct.
Do you understand what I'm saying, Christy?
Madeline is incorrect. If you read the original question, it says Madeline solved the
incorrect.
inequality.
I agree with that part.
And her solution is X equals 2. So the student is saying Madeline is incorrect.
Right.
Because X isn't equal to 2, it's greater than 2.
But isn't it?
So it's greater than or equal to.
Equal to?
Which the student, what Anna presented was that these were students at varying levels. So we were giving you a sample of a proficient student, an approaching student. And
So this first person is not proficient totally, correct? I'm trying to understand what, I'm a math person, and grading with a rubric to me in math, I have a lot of trouble with that. So this person would get total credit for that answer? On the first one?
Yeah, so the rubric does take adjustments to get used to. However, we this year have really worked together as a team to bring up scenarios that may not be existent on the rubric, discuss it as a team as to what we feel that would belong in. This would be a proficient, though. We have excelling, proficient, approaching, and beginning. So this would be considered a proficient.
So your rate of reliability, you've discussed this and come up with that. This is okay?
Yes.
All right. That's my last question.
I have questions. Can parents and tutors access this?
Yeah, so since it's a free open resource, you can go to the Kendall Hunt website for the high school version, and they have housed all of the family resources as well as the student book and family information.
And then what do you do to help tutor the parents so that they could tutor the kids to show them how to navigate through this?
So that's been in development. We have a feedback form. Does anyone want to describe the feedback form you use after like a quick progress check or summative?
So at the end of the assessments, there is a feedback form that the students receive. It shows exactly what our success criteria aligned with each question, and then it shows at the bottom what those success criteria are, as well as we link it to the I Am Kendall Hunt website, in which the students can go and clearly see what the success criteria that they missed and gain those extra supports there.
Okay, that leads me to my next question about feedback. I've had experience with some students working with this, and can you explain what kind of feedback they get, what that feedback looks like?
I think that varies on the level of achievement, if they're excelling, proficient, beginning, approaching, is the type of question that is asked. But oftentimes, like, you would address something like, for this question with Madeline, saying that it's just greater than, so you would say, well, let's look back at the inequality, look at the symbol and look at your answer. You know, there was something missing there. So it's not that we're giving them the correct answer every time in our feedback, but we're trying to lead them there so that it's a discussion point that we can then have with them.
Okay, the issue was, when I was working with one student in particular, was that the feedback was just like how she said this one would be proficient, but there wasn't any feedback to say what they did wrong. And so the student never knew what they were doing wrong on any of the QPCs or any of the summatives or any of the formatives. They didn't understand. Therefore, they kept making the same mistakes or just floundered because they didn't have the appropriate feedback to help them.
So I can speak for our algebra pilot curriculum. I know that we worked heavily as a team to make sure that we leave feedback on QPCs. We give them back in a timely manner so the students are able to use that, and that we're going to continue on with that process. And that's how we've taken it. I don't know the middle school's process, but okay.
I actually gave out QPC back today, so I have a very fresh experience, obviously based on all the other units as well. So student took a QPC on Friday. I graded the same day. I posted grades based on the proficiency scale on the same day and give them back to students today during the warm-up. I display the blank one on the board, and students have a couple of minutes to discuss it within their groups, compare their answers, and be ready with questions, and then we go over each questions together. Again, it takes about 5 to 10 minutes as a warm-up on the following school day. And during the time after each question, I pause, are there any questions? And again, we move on. And then when we start actual lessons, I know some students sometimes are a little shy about raising their hand. So I walk around in groups and ask, making sure that were there any individual questions about any, either my grade, my response, anything we highlight as far as just specifying where the mistake was in that specific problem. So that happens on the formative assessment. Also homework assignments, again, depends on the teacher, but I've assigned practice problems after each lesson daily. And then on the next day, next school day, after the school, the answer key is posted online. Students, we won't have time to check every single question in class, but students can check the responses, come back to me next day with any specific questions. They are also encouraged to attend tutoring during advisory and lunch periods, and there are other algebra teachers who also support students that way.
Yeah, I think the students that are the quiet ones and the shy ones are the ones that are having a tougher time with that because they're not willing to ask or to talk or to even maybe check with somebody else. So those are the ones that are kind of getting a little hurt in that.
I understand it, but in my experience, in 9 years as a high school math teacher, I have not seen that many students engage in that many tasks before.
Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
Certainly what you share tonight is evidence that you're providing those supports built into your instruction, and we're very proud to just give you a glimpse of some of the expertise and care and thought that went into this pilot and the recommendation that's presented this evening. If there's any additional questions, our educators or our director, Christy Vey, will be happy to answer those. And again, I thank you all for being here this evening. It's very apparent just how much expertise and care you brought to this recommendation. Thank you.
I do have one question. I'm sorry. I have one question. Christy, I thought at the beginning of the presentation you cited a success rate for the students. Could you repeat what that was and what that's based on?
Yeah, it was 96% of our students passed Algebra 1, Semester 1 this year at both Bolingbrook and Romeoville. There were 800 and some odd students in the pilot.
Oh, to me, that would be the greatest indicator of the success of the program.
Yeah.
Thank you to the teachers who came tonight.
Next on the agenda, driver's ed simulators.
Yes, we have 3 representatives this evening who are going to come forward and introduce the information report for the high school driver's education simulator adoption. And they're going to share their information, some background on why this proposal is coming forward, a little bit of the background and rationale. So first I'd like to introduce Joe Infantino, who is health and physical education and driver's education administrator at Bolingbrook High School.
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. President Quigley, board members, Dr. Mitchum, and the administrative team. I want to thank you for the opportunity to introduce our proposal for potential new simulators at Bolingbrook and Romeoville campuses. You have your informational report in front of you, but we'd like to just cover some basic facts right off the bat. Teen drivers are 75% more likely to suffer a fatal accident, unfortunately. With that, one of the top reasons for that is strictly a lack of experience behind the wheel. With 50 hours behind the wheel and an additional 6 hours they receive from our instructors, parents have communicated that a need for more experience and practice behind the wheel, whether that's in the car or a simulator, is needed. With that being said, we're going to allow Mr. Odell, and we have Mr. Odell from Romeoville, and then one of our PLC leaders from Bolingbrook High School, too. We're going to let them go through some of our pictures, a part of the adoption that we've researched that our teachers have given us some feedback on.
Good evening. As Joe said, my name is Mike Odell. I've been with the district for 26 years. I'm the Driver Education Department Chairperson at Romeoville High School. Simulators, since I've been in the district, have been an integral part of our program. The slide here that you're looking at is our current simulators at Romeoville High School to the left there. It's got number 5 on the simulator. Those were sold. We are using them for the current year till the end of the school year, but then they are going to be sold. They are currently sold. Our old simulators, a little bit about them. What the instructor does is they project a film on the big screen, and our films are pretty dated. They go back probably the earliest or the most recent ones that we have are in the early 90s. So most of them are like in the 80s, some are in the 70s. Unfortunately, the company never updated the simulation films, never came out with new ones. The old simulators are, they require a lot of service. Anything from turn signal levers to seat belts to parking brakes, the springs on the brakes, they just kept on, breaking down on us. What you see to the right is the picture of DVT3 from Virtual Driver Interactive. Romeoville is requesting 8 DVT3s. There are 3 monitors. Each monitor in length is 22 inches. The next slide is another picture of a simulator to the left, our old one. And to the right, Bolingbrook is requesting 12 DVT34s. They're one screen, but they're 34 inches in length. As you could see to the right there, that picture, the new simulator is very modern looking compared to what you see on the left. Keep in mind, both simulators at both schools that we're requesting are the same price. I'm now going to turn it over to Joe, and he will talk about how the simulators will look in the classroom.
Throughout this process, we contacted other school districts, including the Glenbards and West Aurora as well. On the left, we have a picture of Romeoville High School. There's a much larger footprint with the older simulators. They're a little bit more antiquated, where when we look at West Aurora to your right, we're able to use the same exact space and allow more activities, more opportunity for enrichment in the classroom. They're able to put the simulators along the outside of the classroom, the walls as well. It's a lot more relative to like one-to-one technology that our students are coming up in now in comparison to the other simulators that are roughly 20 years old. Immediate feedback, just an overall better view, opportunities for in the classroom as well. I'll turn it over to Mike, and then we'll close things out here shortly with the technology.
Yes, the good or the benefits of simulators. Due to advancement in technology, simulators today, the ones that we're requesting, can duplicate hydroplaning, driving in adverse and complex driving situations, distracted driving like texting and driving, and the students would be allowed to practice these risky scenarios in a safe driving environment. They could learn from their mistakes that they make in a safe manner. In addition, simulators can increase driving time for the student, also increased perception and motor skills, which are all required for safe driving. This program that we are requesting also offers a vision reporting program, which allows instructors to run individual and class reports and grades on each drive that the students go through. These errors are reported to the students in real time. They're able to appear on the screen, so after the student drives, they're going to get a listing of all their errors on the screen. The simulators that we're requesting will help the classroom teacher differentiate their instruction and also would provide supplemental driving time for the much-needed students. I'm now going to turn it over to Joe about college and career and life ready.
When it comes to college and career life ready, obviously the biggest standpoints for our kids is obviously having them go home, A, being safe, B, we want our students to leave our high schools confident, and finally, when it comes to lifelong learners, employment, and we're talking about equity of all students, this is a great equalizer. It allows our students that, again, we're talking about living in a fast-paced environment. Not all students have access to 2 cars, let alone 1 sometimes. If there is 1 vehicle at home, it might be being used by an older sibling or a parent. This will be that equalizer, allowing students to get in the vehicle, gain that confidence. You really can't practice a hydroplane. You can't practice brakes going out in a vehicle. We can practice and talk about those situations, but what a better place to do it than in the simulator. I think it would be an opportunity for our kids too that maybe don't have that opportunity at home, whether it's a vehicle or just opportunities with time. We'd like to thank you and open it up for any questions at this time as well.
I got a quick question. Why, so the Romeoville has 3 simulators that are smaller, can't get, and use words, Steve, wraparound effect to a certain extent, looks like, but then Bolingbrook wants 1 bigger one. Was there some advantage or disadvantage?
Romeoville has I'll try to go back here, the 3-screen version.
Yeah.
That would be Romeoville. Bolingbrook would have the 1. The reason for that would be, and we're talking 12 versus 8, much smaller footprint. So it would allow them to stay in the classroom. So we measured these off. If we were to have 12 at Bolingbrook, we'd be able to put these in the same classroom and actually free up an additional class space down in that area of the building.
Okay. Yeah, there's not like there's some magic to it. It's just...
Correct. And I suppose it could be preference, but again, the price is still the same on either model, which we found surprising. And we were still able to obtain a 15% discount on each one, regardless of the model.
Fair enough. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? I think that's it. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. Another fine example of the care and expertise that our educators and our staff bring in making the very best decisions for our kids, and we thank you for your hard work on this proposal. Thank you.
You guys have any fingernails left?
They're professionals. They're trained professionals. Don't try this at home. Okay, I'd like to now invite Mrs. Mary Worster. She's our Executive Director of Student Services, along with Lisa Allen, our Director of Student Supports, and an army of staff accompanying them. Tonight, Mary and team are going to give you an update on Goal 2 of our strategic plan, which is all about providing a safe, secure, and responsive learning environment for our learners. And so tonight, we're going to give you a little bit of part of our regular update and monitoring of our progress, focus on Goal 2, some updates, and then the fun part, some school spotlights. And so, Mary, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. I just want to make sure all my people are nice and close when they need to come up. Good evening, President Quigley, distinguished members of the board, senior leadership, and members of the community. Tonight, Lisa Allen, Director of Student Supports, and members of Woodview, R.C. Hill, Pioneer, and Lukanzik will be presenting to you an update on Goal 2, Learning Environment. Our strategic efforts for Goal 2 focus around providing a safe, secure, and responsive learning environment. We are proud tonight to highlight the collective work we've accomplished over the last year, or in some cases, more than a year. Our Goal 2 priorities are strengthening SEL for students and adults, promoting and building positive teacher-student relationships, and a strong sense of belonging and significance, supporting developmentally appropriate practices, engaging academics, and effective management. Our strategic work through Goal 2 has led to the establishment of learning environment coordinators in every elementary school, peace rooms in every elementary school, advisory at middle schools, and supportive homerooms at the high school. We have solidified our priority SEL standards and developed tiered SEL interventions. This year, all 12 elementary and 1 middle school have begun regular mindfulness practices through Calm Classroom. In the area of safety, we have revised our procedures for suicide, prevention, and risk assessment. And now I turn it over to Lisa Allen, Director of Student Supports.
Hi. So how are we measuring success? Well, one way is through Panorama student surveys, in which students self-report their social emotional skills and as well as their perceptions related to the learning environment. You can see on this slide that we are sharing information that's student perception on their own emotional regulation, as well as their sense of school belonging and teacher-student relationships. Many of these are baseline scores, but we look forward to sharing growth scores with you in the future. Next steps related to Goal 2 include pilot programs in social emotional learning at our elementary schools and 1 middle school, a focus on building authentic student-teacher relationships at the secondary level, and implementing updated threat assessment procedures. This training for that would be this spring and then rolling that out in the fall. But the best way for us to showcase the work of Goal 2 is by letting you see what it looks like with students and staff in our schools. So we are spotlighting 4 schools tonight, and at this point I'd like to turn it over to Woodview Elementary School.
Hello, I'm Catherine Deere. I'm the Learning Environment Coordinator at Woodview. So we're here to speak about Calm Classroom, which, as they mentioned, is our daily practices of meditation. At Woodview, we do it 3 times a day, usually during our teacher-taught PE or just during other times a day when teachers see that there's a need for it with their students or their students are asking for it. We've started implementing this second quarter. And with second quarter implementation, we've had over 50% decrease in our crisis calls at Woodview once implementing this with all of our students. So in the presentation, you'll see a few quotes from our students when we asked them, how has it helped them? We had students say, it makes me breathe so that I feel calm and relaxed. I am able to do my work and focus after. I like Calm Classroom because we get to take a break and relax. I feel happy and calm, and I remember to use it at lunch when it's loud. Then we also had from a survey that our teachers took during one of our PDs on Calm Classroom, some quotes from them. We had one teacher say, one of my students will ask to use meditation to calm down. Students always ask for a meditative practice after lunch or during quiet time. A handful of students have told me that they have practiced outside of school. Some of my students have used it when they are angry before escalating, and my students always say they feel calm after. I have a couple of our Woodview teachers with us to speak to our program as well.
Hi, I'm Diane Thayer, first grade teacher, and that's my co-teacher. We're first grade and the kids actually love it. When we first did it, they were a little bit, unsure what it was like, but after doing it a couple times, they actually ask for it, like when the class gets like too much, too noisy, or we're transitioning and they can't kind of settle down, they'll say, I think it's time for a Calm Classroom. So we've implemented it several times throughout the day, and they practice it, and it really does seem to keep them calm and focused.
Hi, I'm Cassandra Hendrickson. I am a special education teacher at Woodview, and I would just like to highlight that our students, not only they request it as a classroom, but individually, I've noticed my students using the techniques as well on their own, which I think speaks volumes of them being able to identify when they are feeling that anxiety or stress, and then using a positive strategy in order to help themselves get through that.
I'm Jessica McCaslin. I'm the principal at Woodview Elementary. And just as a testament to these ladies, I'd like to say how much this has helped us from first quarter to second quarter. We've seen a decrease not only in our crisis calls, but also just the vibe in our school. When students are going through the hallways and we can see that they're escalated, we can stop them and do a Calm Classroom activity, and have seen students use it on their own. So we're very pleased with it. Thank you.
And next, please welcome representatives from R.C. Hill Elementary School.
Hi,
Hi, my name is Amy Cerniak, and I'm the Learning Environment Coordinator at RC Hill. So I have a couple different things that I wanted to highlight for us. So one thing that I wanted to point out is how we use our peace rooms. All of us have peace rooms in our buildings. So you can see in the middle picture is some kids that have been using our mindful lunch groups. So we have groups where we talk, that's great. Where we talk a little bit about some strategies that they might need, so that way they're not focusing on what happened in the past or worrying about what happened in the future, so they can be in the now. Because one of our main goals is to keep students in the green, or if they're not, help them get there. And then at the end of those lunch times, they lay and do a 7 to 10 minute guided meditation through Calm Classroom, or not Calm Classroom, sorry, Calm.com. That's guided for kids. And then some of the other pictures show just to keep those kids in the green. Sometimes they are tired and they need to take a little rest, so that way they can focus and get through the rest of their day, or just being new to the school and trying to make some new friends, and just looking at the fish if you don't really feel like talking. So those are just a few of the ways that the peace rooms are utilized throughout all the buildings. This is to highlight how we use responsive classroom at our school. RC Hill has made it a really big point to get, I think we're at least 90, if not more than that, of our teachers being having the 4-day training for responsive classroom. So these pictures highlight how we've done whole grade level morning meetings, how teachers are getting involved in that. And then also during our staff meetings, we do mini PD sessions for the staff to teach them how to utilize and implement different interactive learning structures. And so those are some pictures of the teachers using those interactive learning structures in their classroom as well. Another big push that we have to help build a sense of belonging and significance with our students is creating a student jobs program and then peer mediation. So the pictures on the left are pictures of our students doing jobs. We have older kids who are going in with kindergarten and first grade kids to help tutor and give support. That way, to help build relationships, we have kids who are individually going around the building collecting library books and that sort of stuff with other adults, if those are the sorts of relationships that they're seeking out, as well as giving back to the school community by filling the food backpacks and delivering those to the classrooms that need it. And then on the right are some pictures of our peer mediations. These happen to be kindergartners, but we really do it with all the different kids. But these are them walking back to their classrooms, and so it's just to show that having that little bit of time to talk and to feel like they're being heard and to clear the air of those misunderstandings really makes a big difference. And it also helps the teachers a lot too, because then they're able to teach and not have to deal with some of the bickering and that sort of stuff, because it really does take a lot of time to let students really talk it out and to practice those problem-solving skills and build empathy. And I just want to point out, that's not the same kid in red in both of those pictures. Those are two separate kids. And then, of course, we have Allie, our facility dog, who has been amazing, and she's sick, so she couldn't be here tonight. She has an ear infection. But we use her a lot of different ways throughout the school, helping kids come into the building who might be scared in the beginning of the year, or a little bit hesitant, or just having a rough day. Maybe someone in their family or their own pet passed away or something like that. So we utilize her for a lot of different things inside the peace room and outside the peace room. If she's not with me, because I am one of her second handlers, if she's not with me, she tends to hang out in our lobby. And so anybody who sees her and comes in the building always has a great smile on their face when they see her and want to give her a pet and have her roll over for a belly rub and that sort of stuff. So, and that's Allie at Halloween. That was her Halloween costume. So those are just some of the things that we're doing of the many at RC Hill.
Okay, thank you. And next up, please welcome staff and representatives from Pioneer Elementary School.
Good evening, everyone. Valley View School community. My name is Carmen Killingsworth, and I am the very proud principal of Pioneer Elementary School for the next 168 calendar days. I'm not. I'm joined by our AP, Dawn McCrae, our Learning Environment Coordinator, Joanna Hansen, Jennifer Mamick, our psychologist, Paula Moore, our speech pathologist, our social worker, Jessica Colburn, Darla Smilis, and Amy Stone, our TLCs, were unable to be here tonight, but their work is also critical to our success. Together, along with our entire Pioneer building staff, we practice the belief that you are never alone in the Pioneer Zone. This Pioneer Way was adopted at the beginning of the 2018-19 school year and has carried over into our core values statement that we hold each other accountable to on a daily basis. We decided to implement zones of regulation to help our students identify their feelings using colors and descriptive language. From there, the You Are Never Alone in the Pioneer Zone was born. Our tie-dye t-shirts are designed with the zones in mind, but we also had one student, as you can see, can I have a zones poster? There are 4 colors for the zones, but we had one student who told us he didn't know what zone he was in or how he was feeling, so he put himself in the black zone. And we allowed him to do that because he just couldn't identify any of these feelings. But these zones help students use language to tell us how they're feeling. They've started to use this language at home with their parents as well. And the parents are giving us feedback that is really helping them with their students at home. When they're a little upset and can't self-regulate, we ask them what color they're in, and then they get to describe how they're feeling, and then they work towards getting back to the green zone. Zones of Regulation is a global implementation at Pioneer. Through zones, we have a toolkit. And in each classroom, this toolkit is available for all students and staff. And one of our favorite is the breathing ball. Breathe in, breathe. This helps students relax and helps them to start self-regulate and realize, like, identify how they're feeling and get their opportunity to get back to the green zone. Where's the zone for optimal learning? The Zones of Regulation provides us with a common language. We also purchased a book for each teacher so that they can have the PD pieces available. All of the zones materials are here. We also had a zones assembly where staff members act out behaviors in each of the zones in front of our students. It was a lot of fun. They enjoyed it. We have school-wide posters, bookmarks for students and families, and we also brought a bookmark for each of the board members. Our students and teachers and adults in the building use these zones to help us identify how we're feeling as well, and we model those feelings for our students. We have a zones space in each classroom, and that's where the toolkit is. Students have the opportunity to go over to a space, use the calming kits tools to think about how they're feeling. Initially, they were toys, and they turned into actual resources for students so that they can feel and be successful and return back to learning. We also have a peace room, which is an inclusive place to help students feel a personal sense of belonging, allow students to experience restorative practices through peer mediations, social skills building throughout unstructured play, and a place to help students co-regulate, and that process leads to self-regulation outside of the peace room. We also do morning meetings, and it is a universal practice. We start our morning meetings school-wide at 9:05 a.m. We pushed the pledge back to 9 o'clock to do the pledge and then give the teachers the opportunity to start the morning meeting at 9:05 on the dot. It supports empathy, social awareness, and relationship building. In our 5th grade classes, we've started to do This Is Us meetings with our 5th graders. And our LEC and TLCs work together with this, and it's helping students tell their life stories and practice listening skills, practice questioning skills, and give students the opportunity to learn the perspectives of their classmates. They feel safe to share their differences and their individual needs, and it is something that is working for all of our students at the 5th grade level. Morning meetings are also something that students look forward to. We've done some student voice collecting, and they say that morning meeting helps them feel a sense of belonging, like they belong and want to be at Pioneer Elementary School each day. Finally, how do we have fun? I guess I should have turned this a long time ago. Let's see. I don't know. And these are just some of the pictures of what's happening in our building as far as helping students connect to one another, practice good citizenship, and really own their opportunity to be, belong at Pioneer. How do we have fun at Pioneer? Every Friday is Fry-yay at Pioneer. We celebrate all the hard work and dedication that we put forth throughout the year. We also participate in Global Day of Play, which is February 5th. Students and teachers plan the entire day ahead of time. Teachers do interactive modeling in the planning process prior to Global Day of Play. And then students are self-sufficient on that day based on the preparation modeled by teachers. We have Spirit Weeks. We also have Spirits Days. Mondays is Sports Day. Wednesday is College Day, and Pioneer Spirit Wear Day is on Friday. Lots of interactive learning structures. Sometimes I walk into the classroom and I can't find the teacher because she's interacting with students on the floor, over in areas where they're reading, and she's facilitating around the room. So it's really wonderful to see that activity. We have this past December, we had a school-wide door decorating, not contest, but we just all decorated our doors for winter. So some of the doors were able to remain after the holidays. It was really fun. And we celebrate our diverse culture, seeing that we're the #2 most diverse elementary school in the state of Illinois, according to niche.com. So thank you very much for your time and attention. I'm going to take an opportunity to just say, as I end my career here in Valley View, I am grateful for each and every opportunity that I've had to learn and grow. It's been a fantastic voyage. This team behind me is exceptional in relation to the work that they do to make sure that our students feel supported and that they belong in our amazing Pioneer. You're never alone in the Pioneer Zone. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmen.
And I'm so happy to be able to introduce now middle school, the staff from Lukanzik Middle School, here to join us to share about how advisory is supporting students and the learning environment at the middle school level. All 5 of our middle schools do have an advisory this year for the 2nd year, and thank you so much to Lukanzik team for sharing with us tonight.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Aaron Boehner. I am an 8th grade math teacher as well as advisory teacher. So here's just some basic information about advisory. So basically, there are 4 WIN teachers of record that we all teach advisory to our different WIN sections. Advisory usually happens about once, maybe twice a week, just short 5 to 15-minute lessons, and it varies based on the year group. As an 8th grade WIN teacher, I tend to focus more so on making sure my students are prepared to transition to high school. So first semester, we focused a lot on setting SMART goals, understanding students' learning profiles, so knowing how they need to study, how they like to learn, as well as we also examine the importance of community building. So the idea of it's important to have positive peers around you and how to identify what's a positive peer, what's a peer of a distraction, and things of that nature. This slide has some quotes from the students about how they feel about the advisory they've experienced during first semester.
So as you can see by some of the quotes our kids have shared with us in terms of having advisory, and we are having our WIN class, What I Need, is a year-long class, which is a change from what we had done in the past. And you can see there, the kids are really recognizing the fact that it is a positive time for them to make connections. There were multiple mentions of what's addressed in the last quote about helping them take some of the stress off that they're feeling, having a connection with their WIN teacher, feeling supported. So we are very excited about the feedback that we're gaining, not only from our teachers and especially our students, and the positive impact that WIN and advisory is having on them as students, and especially with it now being something that they're able to have beyond a semester time frame is another positive. And we actually built that this school year based solely last year on feedback from our kids. and feedback from our staff, and wanting to make that something, a support that kids had year long rather than just one semester. So huge kudos. With us tonight, Ms. Baynard and Mrs. Bowley are two of our WIN and advisory teachers, and also to Mrs. Gallioni and Mrs. Martin, who also serve in that role here at Lukanzik. We are very fortunate to have them supporting our kids in advisory and in WIN each and every day.
So we just wanted to thank the board and all of the schools that came out to showcase what work we're doing for Goal 2 to support the learning environment in our kids. Lisa and I firmly believe that each and every one of these components are necessary for our kids to be ready to learn and to achieve. And we just wanted to open up to any questions if you had any of myself or Lisa or of any of the schools that presented tonight.
Anybody have any questions?
I don't have a question, but I am the chairperson for Valley View Enrichment for grants. And we have had a couple grants for the dogs.
For facility dogs.
To put that out there. They're a little bit more than what we give, but then they get the other part through some other grant or from the school. Just.
We love our dogs. I know we love our Allie and our Ginny.
Any other questions? Go back to that slide, the third one for Pioneer Elementary.
This
Got with the tie-dye shirts on. See that guy in the tent on the left?
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could sleep like that.
As do I.
Thank you, ladies. Very much appreciated.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for being here. We are so proud of the efforts of all of our schools and our building teams to do whatever it takes to ensure our students have the best possible learning environment and are fully ready to learn. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time this evening.
Ish.
Thank you. Information report number 14.5. This evening we are presenting for information updates to Board Policy 5, Section 50, Drug and Alcohol-Free Workplace. The policy changes reflect recent changes to Illinois law. It has been updated to reflect the recommendations by the Illinois Association of School Boards Policy Service and has been reviewed by our legal counsel.
Any questions on that? Thank you.
That is me again. Clicking information report 14.6 is a proposed new job description for an information systems security manager. This role will continue to support efforts in all aspects of cybersecurity, particularly in light of the new Illinois Student Online Personal Protection Act, or SOPA, House Bill 3606, which increases our district's reporting and management responsibilities of student data. This position will be replacing a current position, the Database and Web Development Manager, which is a position that we'll be phasing out due to attrition at the conclusion of the 2019-2020 school year. The duties from that current position will be absorbed into other positions as we move forward. And this is in response to the technology department's continual reassessment of staffing needs based on our district's technology needs.
Thank you. Any questions? If you have some and you think of them later, you can certainly call Judy. Legal Services Report. No report. Thank you. AFT Report. Thank you. Valley View Council Report. Thank you. Valley View Office Personnel Council Report. Thank you. Old business before the board this evening. Any new business before the board this evening? Any questions from the public on actions we have taken this evening? Please state your name so we know who you are.
Yes, my name is Serena. I actually wanted to address it earlier, but I guess you missed my hand when I raised it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. So I just wanted to address the situation. I just recently moved over here in mid-November, so I'm a new resident homeowner. My daughter attends Luke Kanzig and my son attends R.C. Hill. I wanted to address the situation with the bus transportation. So I guess that there were no spots open. I've been talking with the director to see if I can get my child in. Now I understand that there's no spots open, but I think that we should take into consideration for those that are new moving into Romeoville. I understand if I was late for registration or if I didn't have the money or whatnot, but I think that maybe we should have something implemented for new people that are moving to the neighborhood. That's all I wanted to address.
Can I ask a question? When you indicate there are no spots open, is your child a walker or?
Yes, my child is a walker.
Okay.
So I actually
So you're
fall in
looking for
the,
paid transportation?
yes. So I do fall in the 1.4, and I know I'm right there, and I didn't give any, complaint about it.
Okay.
It was just the fact that I'm willing to pay. I understand I don't fall in
Can you
there.
leave your name and your contact information with Ms. Casey?
Yes.
And someone will reach out to you tomorrow.
Yep, I have been speaking with the director as well.
I understand.
Okay,
But yeah, if you leave that information with you, someone from senior administration will be in contact with you tomorrow.
Sure.
Okay?
thank you.
Question, we did the questions from the public. Announcements by the board. Any?
Yes, I do have a few. I do have a few.
Oh, we have an announcement.
I missed it during the Liaison report. I sit on the Wilco Area Career Center, and the students for December for the quarter, we have a few of them from both high schools. They were recognized. Madison Growth for a Certificate for Nursing Association from Romeoville. Nadia Allen, Criminal Justice from Romeoville. Karina Zoto, Early Childhood from Romeoville. Lazetta Sanchez, EMS-T program from Bolingbrook. Karina Ortez, Intro to Health Professions. And Dorka Opaka, Internet Intro to Health Professions, both from Romeoville. And then some other certificates were from Johanna Tineko from Romeoville, a certificate for career displace, job seeking skill. Taylor Oliveira from Romeoville, a Romeoville CNA medical certificate. Arena Rabinet from Romeoville, a pathologist, knowledgeable test job skills. And then Tanya Carbello from Bolingbrook, a career displacement certificate. I also want to say, member of the Knights of Columbus from St. Andrews, and they donated 4 boxes of coats to some of the schools in Romeoville. And I just wanted to say thank you to Mark Camden and Andy Wasake for what they did for that. And then a couple things that happened over Christmas. The Bolingbrook boys basketball team, congratulations on their Jack Frost Boys Varsity Basketball Holiday Classic Championship. And also the girls from the Romeoville cheerleading placed in a tournament also. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any other announcements by the board? If not, any announcements by the administration? Any announcements by the public? Hearing none, seeing none, a motion to adjourn to executive session would be in order. Regarding exhibit number 1. Do we have a motion? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Thank you. Have a good night. Stay warm out there.